everybody. Hello, hello.
Hi. Hello. I'm Stefan Campbell, as you know.
Hi, I'm Lisa. She, her, lesbian at large, butch. That's all I have to say about myself tonight.
Nice. And I am so happy to introduce our guest. Our whole purpose here is just to have creative conversation with people who inspire us and, who we feel have something that can hopefully inspire the whole community at large, people who live proudly themselves and can be inspiration sources. This week, we have the game-changing new breed coming along. And if I can say, they are a couple. Yes.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Okay.
Are you do you identify as life partners? Oh, you're wedded.
No.
4 years.
Not wedded, but we're
No
going
wedded.
on 4 years in, I think it's December.
Yeah, December.
Oh, fantastic. Well, here's Sebastian Rea, and here is Julian Laro. Well, first of all, Julian is a dancer. Sebastian is a filmmaker. Two creatives together, which is always a great conversation as far as I'm concerned, how that works. But I just want to say quickly how I met them through a mutual friend, Jared was doing the reading, and Sebastian did something really interesting. When I was in school, I went to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, and you're like 18 years old, and they do all these kind of load-ins of like how you're supposed to be in the city, how to introduce yourself to people. And the whole student body was in the room, and this woman was telling us how to be in Manhattan, introduce yourself to people. So after she finished, I was the only one that introduced myself to her. Right? Out of everyone. And cut to a few months back, I'm at this small reading, and Sebastian comes up and introduces himself to me. I'm like, I was in the corner of a room, and there he is. And he's a filmmaker, and he was telling me there's this partner who was part of the reading. And I'm going to start with them talking about themselves, like how they met, how they work, what they do. And let's start with Julian, because Julian, so to let everybody know, Julian is a dancer. You can see his work on social media. I mean, how about that, like one Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson scream routine that you reproduced and have over 1 million views?
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Let me tell you. So because I'm a dancer, obviously I grew up watching Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson. Scream is the name of the video you're referencing. It's one of my favorite videos ever.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of dance covers on my Instagram and TikTok. And so I was like, let me recreate the dance they did in that video. And let me tell you, I did about 50 takes. My knees were black and blue the next day because you have to like jump to the floor for that dance.
Didn't show.
But the reaction to it was crazy. Like it got over 1 million views, and I was like, holy crap. It was awesome. Totally worth it.
What is that like when you see those numbers rising on your work and people connecting to what you're doing?
As a content creator, it's extremely validating because a lot of times as humans, like we go through life thinking like, oh, I'm the only person that feels this way. Nobody will ever understand. And then like, when you put something out into the world and you just see the comments flowing in like, oh my God, that happened to me. Oh my God, I agree. Oh my God, I go through the same thing. You're like, oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
It's extremely validating when people just connect to your art in some type of way or your rant.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say one thing? It's even crazier when some of your idols respond and like repost the stuff that you've done.
Yeah. So after I think we saw Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2. I made a video regarding the movie or whatever, and that also somehow catapulted. It got like about 2 million views, and some of the cast started reposting it, and it was wild. Like, yeah, now the guy who played the guy with the wings on his feet.
Oh, I love that character.
Yeah, he reposted it, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That's really cool.
They make their villains so great. and like,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like
That movie was amazing. Yeah, that movie was
Great
amazing.
I love the actors in both of the films, and desperately miss he
Chadwick.
who was once.
It was
Yes.
sad.
Yeah.
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 Really sad.
How did you deal with the knee, like when you were saying the knee pain, like the next day you had knee pain? How did you deal with that?
You kind of have to just take it easy and let your body heal, because I wore knee pads too to protect myself, and still like I got black and blues. It was a lot. So dancing, like, as fun as it looks, it is very strenuous on the
It's gonna
body.
hurt. It's gonna hurt.
It's
Yes, it
gonna
is.
hurt
I
eventually.
actually did
You
that
know,
dancing thing.
when you get up in
It
age,
hurt.
especially your body doesn't quite move the same way it used to, and when you're a teen or in your 20s.
How old are
So
you,
you
may
have
I
to
ask?
actually, like, I am 33 years old now.
Child, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you. I just, 31, but 31 as a dancer is, like an athlete. There comes a moment where the party's over and we have to continue on with our craft with another voice. And
1000%.
yeah,
Said that
yeah.
you said that absolutely perfectly.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And
Which
it's
is
like
why
right.
currently I'm kind of like transitioning into the acting world, because there is
Oh,
a shelf
we can
life.
talk about that, I say. Yes.
There's a shelf life with dancing.
I
So
mean, that's a actor, director, actor, director.
Yeah.
here you
We,
go.
we started writing together like some short stories, like some sci-fi, where I can direct Julian and he can like explore acting and we can do that together. I think it'd be fun. But
Well, wait, before Sebastian, before you go, let's talk about your film. Like, so you're a director, writer, producer. How did you get into the world of film?
well, actually, like the first movie that I saw, I remember like my earliest memory coming to America is watching Batman Returns in the theater as a child. And that just, for me, the first name that I saw after the movie ended was directed by Tim Burton. And I just repeated like in my head, like I wanted to be a director. I want to be a director. I had no idea what that meant, but I knew like that's what I wanted. So I would just say that over and over whenever somebody asked, like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they were like director, and everybody would laugh because like, that's something like, not realistic. It's like out there in the universe, especially if you're Latino growing up in like from an immigrant family in a lower income
Where?
neighborhood.
From
Like
where? From where? Where did you come to the States from?
we were from Ecuador in Quito. Yeah. The mountains of the Andes, actually in South America. And but I grew up here in New York. I would visit every year and so, but I just always wanted to be a director. So I had to really create those opportunities for myself because where I'm from, like nobody really encourages you to follow the arts, and nobody really in school is like, oh yeah, like here, this is the path to Hollywood or whatever. So I started actually by trade was editing, just taught myself how to edit because I would shoot like on a little camcorder, like whatever little back then, like 2000, shoot on the camcorders and edit on the software that came with the camera. So I taught myself that, and my first short film that I did, I think it was like 16 years old, and it got into the Smithsonian Institute Latino Center's Young Ambassador program. And that for me was like the first time of being validated, like in my art and like the expression that I wanted because somebody saw it and was like encouraging me to continue. So that was the first time that I really like kept on.
That's really amazing story. I like to hear people's origin stories and how they, found their way to, who they have become or becoming in some way. Don't you agree, Lisa? It's really great.
It's a process, and our challenges are sometimes the greatest inspiration, and it's not very much fun when you're in it, but it's all fodder, and I think once I am moving in creative voice, whether it's writing or painting or whatever, word, whatever, I'm on my way to feeling better because it's the only thing that gets me out of this. It's
Yeah.
the oddest thing to be using this brain and be so far away from the day or the bother. I don't know if either one of, I mean, dancing, obviously, acting, yes, directing, you are consumed by the action of creativity. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, actually, to go on from what you're saying, writing Heritage, the short film that Julian and I wrote, was based on my own coming out story. So that's something that I've been wanting to write for like over 10 years, like in my head, like I want to make a feature film about it. And I would always like, write shorter versions of the script. And when I finally got the grant money from the Inclusion Fellowship from Netflix and the Los Angeles Latino Film Festival, it really empowered me to like write it, like make the whole thing. But in doing all that, you kind of like relive like all the trauma that
Yes.
I
Right.
went through. And on paper, it becomes real again. And then it becomes even more real when you're directing the scenes, that were like really traumatic in your life, but like you got over and you're stronger because of those things. But breaking all that down was definitely like doing mental obstacles the whole time.
The coming out stories never get,
But it helps.
Yeah, yes,
It's
so much.
cathartic. Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Do you have can we see maybe an example of some of your work? Do you have like a?
I have a short trailer actually for the short film, and it's actually playing in New York City, having a New York City premiere this Saturday at the New York Latino Film Festival.
Nice. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's see that. And then oh.
How long is this?
So let's see, what are we about to see?
A minute.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Before we press play, let's see,
Yeah.
what can you tell us quickly what we're about to see?
Sure. So what we're about to watch is the trailer to Heritage, the short film that Julian and I wrote and that I directed. And it's basically my coming out story. And it's reimagined through an Indigenous lens and how Indigenous identity helps my main character come out and empower himself to do so. And so you're going to see short clips from the film. There's not a lot of like dialogue, nothing, just mostly music and some shots of like the characters.
Okay, let's see it. Here's the name.
Should be audio, I think.
Maddie, do we have audio?
Well, how about
while
let's
talk about it. Yeah.
Andrew is. Wow.
We shot this in New York City. This is a wonderful cast that we were able to shoot with. And it took 3 days to shoot. We got the Inclusion Fellowship grant, which was sponsored by Netflix and the Los Angeles International Latino Film Festival. And we shot the film in 3 days. We got the money. We took about 6 months to make the whole project to the premiere date, which was insane and nuts.
Great. Can we go back to full screen with everyone? Because I have to say with Sebastian, I have the pleasure of being able to see a lot of your work, and a lot of your work doesn't, it's very kind of tells your life story, but you also have a lot of dance, and your storytelling, and when I was watching, I always thought about how you and Julian would collaborate. And I'm so happy to hear that you guys are. And, maybe Julian, you can show us maybe a little like clip or something of yours, and then we can talk about what you guys are collaborating on together.
Yeah, we can. I have two things. I have my dance reel, basically what I use for professional work if I'm submitting for an audition. And then I also have, my random TikTok videos, which Sebastian has actually collabed with me on many, many times. I'm like, babe, I have this idea, come do it with me, and he's always game, so it's great. Let me pull this up.
Nice to have a cameraman in the family.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Let me see if I can share the screen. Okay,
Lisa.
great.
Yeah.
Were you in Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
Back to the Future, Mr. Mom. That's all. I'll give you the lowdown on all the films.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
An icon.
Wow.
I'm looking at your IMDb right now. I'm blown away.
Mr.
Yeah.
I
haven't looked at it for a while, but I want to see the dance.
Yes.
Hopefully there's sound.
Let's see. I can hear Janet. Oh yeah. So Julian, do you choreograph most of the things that you do, or how is it both? Does it go both ways?
What did you say?
Do you choreograph most of the work that we're seeing here as well?
So here, this is class footage, but I actually do choreograph my own stuff also.
There we go.
Who was that there?
Yeah,
Salt
just
and
before.
pepper, right?
Oh yeah, salt and pepper. Push it real good.
Oh,
Mhm.
mm.
Yes, J-Lo.
Oh, right. How long does it take for you to pick up the choreography?
So as far as picking up choreography, it's kind of a skill you develop over time. I can pick it up fairly quickly now. If you just show me the 8 count, I can probably get it in like 5 minutes.
First of all, I love that Britney Spears. Love that. I'll be your slave. Yeah.
So that was the dance reel that I use for auditions. And as far as like content creation, you know, I do skits with Sebastian. Most of them are comedy, and
you mentioned that you're starting to go into acting.
yes, actually.
Is
Which
it
is
the
funny
next?
because
Yeah.
the thing about TikTok is, or I guess content creation in general, it kind of prepares you. I mean, it teaches you how to edit, teaches you how to shoot a video.
Mhm.
TikTok, with learning the skits and knowing the mouthing the words at the right time, it kind of teaches you acting in a way also, because you have to convey a certain emotion, or you're trying to tell a story in a short time. It's kind of like a form of, you know, storytelling, short form.
Oh,
And
definitely.
were you always a dancer?
1000%.
Like, were you dancing when you were, you know, the way that Sebastian, when he saw Tim Burton's name after Batman, you know, when
Yeah,
I
you
saw
know, it's
movie-
funny. That's funny you say that. It's two things that kind of inspired me to dance. Well, one, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up in the era of TRL. For those who don't know, TRL was our YouTube basically back in the day on MTV,
Yeah.
before MTV became
what it is today.
Teen Moms and
Nothing.
things like that in Jersey Shore. If any news regarding your favorite music artist, you had to go to TRL to watch it. If they dropped a new video, if they were releasing a new album, you went on there. So I grew up watching Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, you know, all the greats, Mariah Carey, and their videos, and just watching that. And I'm like, wow, I want to move like that. How did they do that? Just captivated me. Secondly, I actually fell into dancing professionally from my first relationship, a boyfriend. And yeah, I know. I actually fell into just to spend more time with him because he was dancing, and I'm like, I want to see him more. So let me start dancing. And then
Were you at a studio specific? Were you studying traditional dancing? Were you just out and about?
I never took dance classes as a kid. No, it was actually all self-taught
Amazing.
until I then started going to Broadway Dance Center in New York City and taking professional classes.
So like where Sebastian was teaching himself how to edit, you were teaching yourself how to
Literally, yeah. I would just watch it over and over until I picked it up.
right.
No, I think what's really important, especially because some of the viewers are young people, that you don't have to do a traditional route. You know, I had to do ballet, you know, because of course you had to be trained. It almost killed me. I was not a ballet dancer, let me tell you, you know, but nonetheless, you know, it was an old version that, you know, if you want to be a dancer, you have to do, but you don't have to do anything to be an artist. You just have to want to be an artist and be willing to do the work that requires you to become it.
1000%. It's all about just perfecting your craft, whichever way is easiest for you or affordable to you, because classes can be very expensive. But
Very.
nowadays, because of YouTube and stuff, you can literally take dance classes in your room for free and teach yourself
For free.
for
Yeah.
free.
Free, for free. It feels like all media has definitely democratized like storytelling and just art making lately. Because I remember, growing up, there was no school for film. Like nobody was gonna put me into a film school until like I got to college and did it myself. But like I would just watch movies, all day. Like spend time at Kim's video store in the East Village.
Can you talk about Kim's video a little bit? Because it's an iconic video store from New York.
Iconic. Yeah. It was just like a getaway, like a safe haven almost for like filmmakers, but also like people that were like looking for stories and didn't know where to get them. Kim's had it. Kim's had every film, international film, like small art film that you've only seen one time at the MoMA. Like they have it. So I would go there and just like spend time looking through like old American cinema directors, international directors, and just picking out random movies and starting to watch and like learn visually. Just like Julian says, you just watch and repeat it and you perfect it. And for me, like watching movies was that like school for me. My parents were like always working and my dad was in the military, so like I was home alone a lot. My grandmother like didn't speak English, so I could watch whatever I wanted. And it was really like interesting to teach yourself like that way, and that becomes your foundation.
What I'm hearing is passion,
Mhm.
the passion for what you feel instinctually speaks to you.
Yeah.
You explore. Tell us more about the project that you guys are doing together, which you said that's based on your experience in coming out. Like how is that collaborative effort? And because I know you did a short film. Can you talk a little bit about your short film and how you're thinking of it as a feature?
Oh yeah, well, the story was always something that I wanted to make, like I said, and I think when we got the grant, we kind of had to like centralize the story and make it like short, 15 pages, and tell something really tight and interesting.
Which is
So I
difficult
wrote.
to do because his story is very, it's very intricate and it's long. I mean, how do you like tell somebody's coming out story in 12 minutes,
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
talented. Yeah.
Exactly. So I always came with like the big idea, and Julian would always help me like focus and have more of a voice, like a unique voice, and bounce off ideas with that. We would have like dialogue discussions together, and it really helped because like talking to Julian is really natural for me, and I'm very honest, and I think that way when we talk and when I get tips and when I get like edits from him, they resonate, and he doesn't just like spit off ideas and I take them, but like we talk about them. And I think it's communication really that's the most important thing that we have between each other, like as a partnership, that helps us become more creative and like become vulnerable and share that and get it on paper.
Are you like when you're collaborating together, do you immediately start to see pictures in your head of how you would like for it to shoot or photograph, or do you just stick straight to the story first and then think of the visuals later?
I think we try to develop a story first.
Yeah,
Just to
definitely.
make sure like there's a foundation before we start getting into like, well, what about this scene or what about that scene? It's mostly just getting the story really straight and really like just make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't want that note. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah,
How did that happen? What do you mean I don't think that's justified.
Mhm.
Ooh, yeah, yakety.
And sometimes that happens with us where like he writes something and I'm like, but how did he say that when he just meant, it's like
It's a
it's good to have double eyes, just proofreading and stuff like that.
Yeah,
quadruple.
definitely.
How about
Because it also like forces me like also as a writer and the storyteller to be like, oh, like really fight for the idea, you know what I mean, and justify it, and then if I can't do that, he'll help me see that and I'll be like, you're right. And sometimes I'll be stubborn and I'll be like, oh, well, we need it, but usually it's like you have to cut it or change it to what he said because he was right.
ask both of you a question about being out and being active in Hollywood. When I was younger and working in front of the camera opposed to behind, you know, you could not be out. It was like over, and it's much different now. And you know, I would rather be out than working. It's not negotiable, right?
Speak on it. Speak on it.
Yeah, because you know, we are who we are, but I'm curious because there's people who are watching who might not be out. I want to talk about coming out. I want to talk about being who you are, but also being a creative looking for work. Do you know? Do you find there's still no, he's gay, he can't do that role? Do you get that, or is it behind us? Please tell me some good news.
You want to take this or should I?
Well, I was gonna say, Julian, you should start because, like, as an actor, like, do you want to present as gay or queer? You know, like, do you feel
Well,
like
I think presenting as gay or straight, I think that's kind of subjective. You can't really present as gay. I think maybe you can present as more feminine if you want to, or masculine, but that's neither here or there. I do think there is still a stigma in Hollywood, which is why so many actors are reluctant to come out as gay, because once you come out, it's kind of like casting directors no longer see you as, oh, he's not a leading man, he's a homosexual.
right? It's not masculine
He
enough.
can't play straight.
Right.
But it's kind of like a double standard in that straight people can play gay in movies, and like that's okay.
Yeah.
And Oscars.
And win Oscars all the time. But on our end, it's not, we're not given that same opportunity. So I can understand why some actors would choose not to come out or be vocal about their sexuality, because it ultimately like does affect their career.
Right.
Unfortunately.
It's really unfortunate.
Personally, I'm out. I have nothing to hide. It's all over my social media. There's no hiding if I could.
Same.
And it is what it is. This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
I think being healthy mentally.
Yeah.
You know, one cannot be creative unless one has a sturdy ship, you know, that's at sea. And you know, I think a lot of people, and I talk to artists who suffer because they are not who they are. And if you are not who you are, how can you be something else if you don't know the core of your craft, you know, of your instrument, for lack of a better word? Yeah, it's just confusing to me, you know.
And when I'm sorry, babe, it's just one more thing. So like also when you grow up being in the closet and basically suppressing who you are, half your personality, for like a decade, more than a decade straight, for me personally, as an adult, I can't hold anything back anymore. It's almost like it just comes out. This is who I am. If I feel it, I'm going to feel it now, because I suppressed it for so long. It's like impossible now. Sorry, babe, continue.
Hugging.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think honestly, when I was younger, like in my 20s, I was very careful of like becoming a gay director. You know, I didn't want to be known as a queer artist. I wanted to be like an artist or whatever. And I was like always shy away from telling those kind of stories. But you know, it took a while, and it took a lot of like self-growth and meditation to like find your truth, you know, like what you really want to stand by. It came out, you know, like I'm making art, period. And you know, this is queer art. I do Latino art, I do like indigenous art, like it's all just art. But I guess like my focuses are on those things, and no matter what I'm doing or like whatever project I'm working on, I'm always going to infuse like those things into it regardless. Like I'm never going to work on like, I don't know, maybe a straight script. My script will never be just straight. You know what I mean? Like they'll definitely have all these different elements.
Don does not have competition. Right. Yeah.
There's too many hetero stories. We need more.
There's too many.
I write only queer fiction, basically.
That's beautiful.
Period.
Which we need more. Yeah. We need more. We need more of that. We need more of like, and I want to sidebar with you because I love to like read your work, and like I'm sure you've optioned your work before many times, but love to like create a script around something that you've written. I just know that it'll be amazing.
Did you?
We'll just pull out the trunk and let you have at it, okay?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that approach.
Just like buckle down and go through your work. Sebastian, I have a question. So your coming out story, how does your family fit into that? Like, how will it be for you for them to see this on film?
Yeah. So I'm not sure yet. I mean, my mom has not seen it. My father, I don't really speak to my father in that, on those terms. He hasn't seen it. I don't think he will. Yeah, but my mom is gonna come to the premiere, so that's cool. I don't know if she knows what she's in for. She knows that it's like a queer film, like it's gay, but I don't think she knows yet. But I think it's gonna be good for her to be there and see it, and at least see like the love that I'll get from everybody around me.
I think that's
Validating that,
But one of the things we talked about last week was community. Is really involved in community, and community was really helpful with her coming to terms with her sexuality and her art form. Do you feel the community that you have around you and gives you the same type of support?
I definitely think I have that support, especially with organizations that are maybe like queer focused, like Outfest, for example. When we went to LA last year, we moved to LA for the first time last year. And Outfest was one of the first events we went to, and just being there with the creatives, queer creatives, they were so welcoming. Like, to the fact that we came to LA, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna take you around, do this," and they've invited us to things and just kept us into the community, and like have always been very gracious and warm. So yes, I think that has definitely helped our development here, like, and being a queer artist in that sense, like I love that, having that like network to go to and give ideas or get support and resources to make films or whatever, like even mentorship. They've all opened the doors, and I think that like that finding your community is key anywhere you are, but you have to like actually like do the work and seek it out, because the invite is there. You just have to go out and find it, you know what I mean? And it's hard to have like that motivation sometimes. Sometimes you don't feel it, but if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. And oftentimes you are your biggest obstacle, your biggest hurdle.
Yeah, let's talk about those hurdles. A lot of people who are just starting to join and starting to enjoy the creative conversations, which what Stefan and I call this, when we talk to artists who are queer, who are out, and who are making a difference in the genre that they are inspired to participate in. And, coming out and being a kid and being queer, and it's sometimes I hear from people, oh, is it still difficult? It's
I
like,
hate that.
I don't you? I do.
hate hearing that. And I hear that from like studio executives, like in Hollywood. It's scary, like that they just like, oh, they've written all the stories they can about coming out, like they're all the past. But go on, sorry, I just wanted to say,
No,
yeah.
no, I hear you, because even with great parents, even with a school that has zero tolerance to queer hating, it's still there.
Absolutely.
And I think to be naive is ridiculous, especially, even the kids who are, young kids, the youngs who are with us, they know the score, they know it's difficult. And being I am particularly fierce with, I call them my trans kids. They're my children are grown adults, but trans children I champion. I love to walk, protest, listen, participate, read, anything that my kids are teaching me. It's not okay to go picking on kids that are like fierce and strong and being themselves. And I'm curious how you two champion kids, and what you say to them when they have challenges, if they ask. What would you say to them? I mean, you've been there.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, if I can start, like I mentor kids as well, like students. I think it's hard. It's crazy because I can mentor a student, I can mentor a young person, but it's hard when it's like your family. And I think, like, for example, my little brother, he's 18, and we grew up he's from my father's side, so I would spend time with my dad and like see my little brother. And that's one of the reasons why I try to work out my relationship with my father, was to spend more time with my little brother. But as he got older, and especially during the Trump era, it emboldened my father, who was like also very conservative and Republican. But he teaches my little brother and his family like negative thoughts about queer communities, about immigrants, about, you know, women's rights, etc. So my little brother now, like, and I don't have a relationship. Like, we don't speak, we don't talk. Like, he thinks that being queer is like a mental illness. It's hard for me to like reach out and connect with him. And I'm good with like talking to youth, you know, and connecting that way. But it's harder when it's not, when it's your family.
Right.
That's
Right.
the hardest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Julian? Do you have anything you would say, like if there was a younger version of you asking you what to do, what would you say? I mean, you know now.
Before coming to LA, I was teaching dance in New York. So I was working with kids for like 12 plus years. And I think something that I feel like every student learned from me was like through my actions. I would never have to come out to my students and say I'm gay, but I think they see the type of person I am. I'm loving, I'm energetic, I'm inviting, and they see that it's okay. Like, oh, here's my teacher right now, and he's,
Yeah.
you know, he's gay without saying it. He's gay and he's thriving. If I could talk to myself as a little kid, I would just tell myself, nothing is wrong with you. You are that's all we really want to hear. We just want to hear like it's okay. You're normal. And everything you're feeling is normal. And
Yeah.
you're not alone. And I think the best thing you can do, because you know, not everybody is afforded an accepting family. But the beauty about being gay is that you get to choose your own family. You know, going back to community, friends, and having that, you know, that core clique of people who are just like you is so important. And, you know, going back to what I mentioned about how I started dancing, like it was through a boyfriend. He was a part of this dance group. And to spend more time with him, I joined the dance group. This group was the first group of like gay people I had ever met in my life. And for the first time in my life, I felt like, oh my God, there are people like me.
Right.
And never turned back.
I
Right.
hear
I
that.
think just, you know, just finding that group of friends, it makes all the difference. If you could find
And
one good friend, one family member that you can confide in, just one, you're set.
But you know what's also interesting, and what I've always admired about Julian, is that like you've also cultivated that community online with your own followers. You guys, I'm sure you've helped so many people. Like things that we do on the videos, people have talked about and like they deconstruct. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's
Yeah.
like,
So a lot of my videos, it's, you know, it's not all comedy and dancing. A lot of the times I use it as my journal. I will
Right.
talk about real life experiences I had. The reaction, the comments I get from it, it's, you know, regarding like being cheated on or this person not accepting you or things of that nature. And a lot of people go through the same things, and it's very healing.
Can you give us where we can find you on a platform that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. Instagram, mostly my TikTok, but my TikTok is Jules540. That's JULEZ 540.
How about you,
I talk
Sebastian?
about a lot of my life on there.
my Instagram is at I'm just too illmatic. Shout out to Nas, the rapper from Queens. It's
And let's talk about scum. Okay.
and I have a website. You can see my short films on at sebastianrea.com.
It's worth the trip. His work is so cinematic and honest and beautiful. There's the one you've worked with kids as well in one of your stories.
There's an immigrant film that an immigration film that I did, and my little cousins are in it. And my little brother, he's actually in that as well. That's my little brother before he turned Republican, pretty much.
Oh God.
I found it really beautiful. And that one also has the dancing in it. That's like,
Thank you. Oh yeah, that's right. There is dancing. Dance, yeah. For some reason, dancing has followed me. I guess you're right. Like there is a lot of dance in my work, especially like having an indigenous poem music video as well in there called Now. And there's dance in there, choreographed dance that we did, indigenous Lakota tribe dancing as well.
Beautiful shots. Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful photography.
we shot that in Las Vegas.
If we ever had a workshop, when you know, our goal is to be able to have our community present their work too, you know, but if we ever had a workshop, would you both come back and maybe talk about acting or dance and work with us again?
Absolutely.
Of course, totally.
I would.
Anything for the kids.
Let's hold a
Yeah.
dance class. You guys ever seen Heartstoppers on Netflix?
Oh, yes.
So like touching
Oh,
upon that,
it
it shows like the queer experience through like, yes, it's a fantasy because it might not be realistic to a
What?
lot of people, but it's so oh, look at that.
What?
You have the books.
Oh,
What about Heartstopper? You know,
Wow.
let's talk about Ms. Allison Ostman. Oh my God, come on. Let's talk about those actors. Let's talk about those leaders in our
They're
community.
amazing. And it's so beautiful. And it's like she said, it's not trauma bonding. Like nobody dies, nobody gets a disease or gets sick. It's literally just two boys who are in love, and that's it.
Well, next season's going to be a little rougher, but you
Yeah,
know
I
what?
know. You know, it calls for that. It
But
calls
you
for a
know
little
what?
more maturity, but
We all have our days and we get through them together.
of
Yeah.
course.
I'll have
But it was really refreshing to see that. And also not have it super sexualized. That was also very different.
Mhm. Mhm.
right. This was important. And again, Sebastian, I want you to let people know where they can find you. Say your website again, you know.
yeah. So my website with my short films are at www.sebastianrea.com. It's my first name, last name.com. You can also Google me, and I come up in a bunch of different places too.
Perfect. And Julian, can we call you Jules? Can we officially just call you Jules?
1000%.
Nice.
Thank you.
Perfect. And you know, and I want you and Lisa, I want you to talk about some of your stories so they can find your stories too.
Yes, please.
I have 2 novels that are on the shelf. You know, novels come and go. You can write them and spend your life and then they're gone, poof. But I have 2, Honey Girl and Riptide Summer. And the new novel that is going to market is called The If Beyond Wonder. So those are my YA focus. And then I have, you know, more adult fiction, not adult fiction, but for adults. And I was an illustrator and, you know, I was an actor. So, you know, if you Google Lisa Freeman or Lisa/Freeman author, you'll find me.
Oh, no.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here and come back
Thank
again.
you.
Love you.
Thank you guys so much.
you guys.